welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my annual expenses and how much I'm forecasting to spend for the entire year. Now, please keep in mind that this is just what I spend. Your expenses may be more, it may be less. This is just my estimated expenses for the entire year. So because I am going to be starting my FIRE or financial independence journey this year, I really need to keep track of my annual expenses, so my everyday essentials that I need to have for the entire year. Now, the way that I came up with these amounts was that I took amounts that I had spent last year and then I'm trying to transfer it over to this year. So obviously with the rate of inflation, which is around 3%, I think every single financial year, obviously the cost of items goes up. So I need to add 3% onto whatever I spent last year onto the amounts for this year. So here is a bit of an overview of my 2021 annual expenses. So I'm looking at saving amounts for birthdays, car services, house insurance, car insurance, Christmas, car registration, health insurance, and the mortgage. So these are all of my annual expenses that I spend for every single year. So they're different categories. Obviously it might change throughout the year. I might find that I actually have to purchase something else, and then the years going forward I will then continue have to spend money on that. I'm really hoping that makes sense. I'm not sure if it does, but anyway. So I thought that I would just share with you exactly the amount that I'm looking at spending for all of these expenses individually, and then how much it will cost me all together. So when you are starting your financial independence journey or your FIRE journey, which is where you retire earlier than the age of 65, you kind of need to have a rough idea of how much you need to allocate every single year to live. So you need to know how much you're spending on food every year, clothes every year, mortgage every year, insurances, car registration, all of those kinds of things. Because when you are on this journey, your returns on investment, so that could be real estate or it could be from your share portfolio from the stock market, you need to have enough money coming in, so passive income it's called, to cover all of these expenses. So I currently don't have much passive income at the moment. I have only just started to invest in the stock market, and even with that I have around $500, which is only giving me a return of like $5 every week or something like that. It's not a lot. So I'm starting this annual expense thing this year, so then when I start to really kick in and start investing a little bit more, I have a better idea of how much money I actually need to survive or to live. So without further ado, let's jump in and find out how much I'm going to spend on all of my annual expenses. Right, so the first expense that we're going to talk about is birthdays. So for the birthdays, I'm allocating $400, and that is for around 4 to 5 people, which $400 doesn't really seem like a lot, but these days I'm less inclined to buy things for people, so more materialistic things. I'm more wanting to buy them experiences. I think that experiences are a bit more meaningful and people tend to enjoy them and have those kinds of memories rather than just an item sitting in their house. So with this, I only really buy birthday presents for my family and my partner. Friends, sometimes there's only usually one friend that I usually buy a present for, just because it's not necessary. Like me and my friends and I, we never actually talk about birthday presents. We usually just do a dinner all together and everyone pays for themselves, which I think is a really good idea. Now the next one that we're going to be talking about, car services. Now I'm allotting $600 for car services. My car's actually really good. I own a Mazda CX-5, and every time that I've got it serviced so far, it hasn't really cost me over $300 per service. In saying that though, the reason why I want to have an emergency fund as well is for those unforeseeable incidents or accidents or new tires or something like that that might happen. So usually every year I get one minor service, and then I also get a major service as well. The major does cost a little bit more, and that's where they might change like your brake pads, your driving belt, I don't know what else, they might change something along your major, whatever they do for major car services. But the minors are just to make sure that everything's working well. They top up oil, they top up the water, they might change the wiper blades, and that doesn't usually cost me more than $200 to $300 per car service. Car insurance. Car insurance is, it's one of the most expensive expenses that I have for the year, which I'm allotting around $900. This year, I believe my car insurance was around $850. And I mean, I just think that it's not a rip-off, but it's so much money to insure a car. I get comprehensive cover, so that means that if I hit someone or if I have an accident, I'm covered, and then that person is also covered. There is another type of insurance called third party where the other person is covered but you're not. So let's say that you write off your car completely. With third party insurance, you don't get any money back, like you completely lose that car. So my car is worth around $20,000. So if I only had third party insurance on it and I had an accident and my car was totaled, I would essentially lose $20,000. Whereas with comprehensive car insurance, if I total my car, they will pay out the market value or what my car is worth to the value of. So if I write off my car, they will give me $20,000 to repurchase another car. So while car insurance is expensive, it is obviously a necessity. And if you do not have car insurance, you need to make sure that you have it. So then yourself is covered or the other person, or just the other person is covered. If you live in Australia, you have to pay what's called car registration. This means that you can legally drive your car on the roads. Now, the price of car registrations varies state to state, and it also varies if you live near the city or if you live in the regional areas of the state. So for my car registration, I am estimating around $880 per year. So my car registration gets renewed in October, and that's when I would have to pay $880. Now last year it was around $860, but again with inflation it goes up every single year. I remember when I very first started driving, it was around $690. So in the space of like 11 years, it's gone up by almost $200, which is just absolutely insane. So yes, car registration is really expensive, but if I do want to have my car on the road, I need to pay that every single year. So yeah, I'm estimating around $880. Now the next expense that I'm expecting to pay annually is for Christmas. So Christmas presents. So last year I put away $600, which sounds like a lot considering I didn't have to buy for any children. I only had to buy for Lewis and one or two other family members. So I'm not really sure where the whole $600 went, but we bought a real tree. We had to buy all new decorations. We had to buy things for our table setting because we were actually hosting for Christmas. We also had to buy a fair bit of alcohol as well because we were going to be making cocktails. So for this year for Christmas, I'm allotting $450 for Christmas. That is to pay for food, alcohol, Christmas presents for Lewis and one of my family members. So we do a Secret Santa and we only have to buy up to the value of $50, which I think is a bit more fun. It's a bit more challenging. You have to think about the present that you want to buy for that person, and I think it makes it a little bit more personal as well. So for this year, for Christmas, I'm reducing my amount by $150. $600 for Christmas, considering I don't have to buy for any children, I think is a little bit too high. And honestly, Lewis and I don't really like spending a lot of money on each other. We would much prefer to do experiences rather than buy things. So for Lewis this year, I bought him a cocktail making course and a night in the city for his birthday, for his Christmas present, which yes, it is still expensive, but this will create memories rather than just having something extra in the house. Now, Lewis and I did buy our very first home back in January last year, and with a home, you need to make sure that it is protected. So the next expense is home insurance. So we only get building insurance. We don't get home and contents purely because everything that we have in our house can be replaced. So the only thing that we bought brand new for our home is our outdoor setting and our TV. Everything else in our house that we bought / own is secondhand, or it's from the op shop. So we bought a lot of our items off Facebook Marketplace, and we also went to the Salvos and Vinnies to get a lot of our things, purely because we just didn't want to spend a lot of money on just items in our house. So for the house insurance, I'm allotting $450. So that will be my half of the insurance, and then Lewis will have to put in his $450. Like I said, a lot of people do get home and contents insurance, but if we got broken into and a lot of our stuff was stolen, yes, we would be upset, but we also would have the money aside in our emergency fund to pay for all those things rather than pay every single year for the off chance that we would get robbed. So this is also saving us a couple of $100 every single year, and we can do much better things with those extra $100 saved. Like we could put them into investments, or we could put them into an emergency fund, or better yet, we could put that money towards a holiday, which I think sounds much better than just giving it to the insurance company on the off chance that our house gets broken into. Now, the next one, if you can see down the bottom, has question marks next to it, and that is health insurance. So I recently went to the dentist, and I am really lucky. I actually have quite straight teeth. I've never had to have braces or anything with orthodontist or anything like that. The only thing that I've ever had to have done to my teeth was when I was really young, and I used to add a lot of sugar to my teas and to my drinks, and that was getting fillings. So I have just been informed that I'm going to need some fillings and some sealants on my teeth to prevent further damage. I also need to get my top 2 wisdom teeth taken out at some point. They don't cause me any pain, there's nothing wrong with them at the moment, but they're also not doing me any favors, and because they haven't fully come through my gums, there is the potential for infection later on. So the dentist just said, just get rid of it. You don't need them. You might as well just get them taken out. Now, the only reason why I'm questioning health insurance is because health insurance is a lot of money. I've had a few quotes over the last couple of days looking at health insurance, and it's going to cost around $1,200, and that doesn't even cover everything. So when I do get my wisdom teeth taken out, I will still need to pay money on top of that $1,200, and I'm not sure if either just paying it outright will save me money or if getting health insurance is beneficial to me. I was thinking that just for 12 months, just to try it out, is to get extras cover, and that will hopefully save me a couple of $100 just for my fillings and my sealant. So that should hopefully cover most of it, and then I can just pay the difference. The other thing with health insurance as well is that there is a 12-month waiting period to get wisdom teeth out. Now I can wait. The dentist said I'm in no rush. She just said that I had to get them out at some point. So I can still wait that 12 months waiting period. But then that means that I've paid $1,200 for nothing to happen. And then I need to again pay another $1,200 to get them taken out. So that's already $2,400 that I would need to fork out, and nothing would have happened to my wisdom teeth yet. So make sure that you leave me a comment down below. Have you had your wisdom teeth taken out and you live in Victoria, Australia? And did your health insurance cover most of the cost? I really want to go under general anesthetic. I don't really want to be awake when someone's ripping out my teeth from my mouth. So make sure that you leave me a comment down below. I'm putting it in my expense total anyway, but I'm going to leave the question marks against it. Now, the last annual expense, and this is where a huge chunk of money comes out, and that is obviously to pay for the house that I live in. So that is my mortgage. So every single fortnight I put away $503 into a shared account with Lewis, and Lewis puts $503 into that account as well. That pays for our mortgage per fortnight. So for the year, my mortgage, and I'll put it down the bottom here as well, is $13,078. Now that sounds like a lot, and honestly it is quite a lot. That's just my half of the mortgage. So me personally, I will be paying $13,078. Lewis will be paying $13,078. But I guess we do get our very own home with that money. So it's kind of not a bad annual expense. I like it because I love our house. It is just a huge chunk of money that when I am on my FIRE journey and my financial independence journey, I need to think and remember that that money can fluctuate, and my investments or my passive income needs to be able to cover up to around $15,000 every single year until this house is paid off. So when you are calculating your annual expenses and you are wanting to jump on the bandwagon for financial freedom or financial independence, you need to really take into consideration the interest rate fluctuation of your mortgage. We are now currently on a fixed rate of 2.1, or it was like 2 point something, which is super, super low. But after those 2 years, our interest rate could bump up to 3%. Therefore, our mortgage expense isn't going to stay at $13,000. That might then jump up to $15,000. So you really need to keep in your mind that when you are getting your FIRE number and your passive income return rate, you need to allot for a bit of fluctuation for your mortgage home rate, because they can change at any time, and you really don't want to be caught off guard for then having to go back to work to pay for your mortgage. Wow, so that is a lot of annual expenses. Yes, it sounds like a lot for the whole year, but if you again are wanting to jump on this financial independence journey, these are the things that you need to consider every single year and how much you need to put into the stock market to live. So my annual expenses total is $17,158, and that is basically the bare minimum. So there might be other things that pop up during the year that I'll need to pay for and then need to pay for every year after that. So you need to keep that into consideration. These are just my annual expenses for the year 2021. In the year 2022, these might be a lot higher, they might be a lot less. I may not even own a car, therefore I don't have to have a registration cost or an insurance cost. I may have changed my mind on the health insurance. So these numbers really do fluctuate, but I like to have a very clear idea on what I am spending every year and what I can save. So with my current salary, I should be able to save around $25,000 every single year, as long as my annual expense total doesn't go above around $20,000. And I think that with doing these kinds of expenses and understanding on what you spend every year and what you want to spend is really good at keeping track of your money and keeping on top of your savings account as well. I think that definitely for Christmas and birthdays, it is such a good idea to allot an annual expense. And then once that amount is done, then you can't spend any more money. It also makes you think about what you want to buy people, and well, could you just take them out for dinner rather than buying them a really expensive concert ticket or buying them, I don't know, a really expensive piece of clothing? Would that memory of going to dinner be more beneficial to that person than the item? I don't know. That's just the way that I'm thinking of things these days. It's not necessarily about being cheap or being tight. It's being really conscious with my own money because it's mine. Like, I have no obligation to buy anybody anything. However, when I do buy someone something, I want to make sure that I already have that money there. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. Please make sure that you do give this video a big thumbs up. It does really help and support my channel. Also, don't forget to click that subscribe button down below. I would love to have you follow me on this budget journey for this year. I'm really looking forward to it. I also just bought myself a budget planner from Kmart this morning. It was $5. I will show you exactly how I'm going to set this up, how much I get paid, how much I'm putting towards each category of expenses, and how much money I'm going to save. So please make sure that you do keep following with me. Leave me a comment down below, ask any questions. I'm really open and honest with money. I'm happy to answer anything that you like, and I will see you in a video sometime in the very near future. Bye guys, happy budgeting.